A hangar full of airplanes, all tuned up and just waiting for new students to jump into the cockpits. Canadian Flight Centre has practice facilities in Pitt Meadows, Kamloops, and Red Deer, Alberta, with a fleet of 26 aircraft and 2 simulators used to train pilots. According to Statistics Canada and global aviation authorities, a critical shortage of new pilots is leading to challenges in the industry. And those in the industry say the cost of training is a big part of the problem. According to the Aviation Talent Forecast, 60,000 new pilots will be needed in North America over the next 10 years to meet demand.
Pilot training is really, really expensive, and it's hard to keep it going with all the bills I have to pay.
Michael Jong is a student pilot and mechanic with Canadian Flight Centre. The 28-year-old has been flying for a couple of years, but his training has been sporadic because he still has to work at the same time to pay his bills.
There's really nothing available. I have to fish out everything from my own pocket.
The cost to train? Between $80,000 and $140,000. Out of reach for many student pilots.
This is definitely one of the more advanced plane that we have. This actually burns jet fuel, so it's easier to fly.
This flight instructor says there's a lack of student loans for new pilots, and reduced numbers of international students will result in a pilot shortage.
We do not have any difficulty finding students internationally who do want to train. The problem is for those students is then to come to Canada. With the restricted number of international students that are even allowed to apply, we have been given only 4 provincial attestation letters in BC this year. And for our size of school, that is definitely not enough to keep 26 aircraft flying.
The Aviation Operations Program at BCIT trains 36 students to fly over an 18-month intensive program. Students can receive financial aid for tuition, but not flight hours. And that's keeping some students on the ground.
There's a huge barrier for entry into the industry and barrier to the training where some people eventually have to stop their training, whether it's privately or through a post-secondary, because they don't have the funds to support themselves.
Students must pay for their own flight hours in order to graduate. They need around 250 hours for a base-level job and up to 2,000 hours for a major airline. He says pilots must retire by the age of 65 in Canada, so the retirement turnover is ongoing. And some say that's why pilot training should be supported like a trade, so that students could apply for student loans to pay for their entire program.
Most of the training is hours up in the air. That's where most of the training is done. That's where the cost is, the fuel, the instructor, and that's where the cost rises. There's also, you need a degree or a diploma from a university as well. That's a separate cost. So again, it all adds up, and at the end of the day, it's not a well-paying job in the entry level when you get your license.
The Ministry of Post-Secondary Education and Future Skills told CBC News, Student Aid BC currently funds aviation program students, but the funding does not cover in-flight practice hours. There are no current plans to expand student aid funding eligibility for students in aviation programs.
The worst case scenario is that a lot of really good students and good pilots who would eventually contribute to the industry aren't going to be able to do that. And we're now picking from a pool of talented people who don't have those financial barriers.
According to the BC Aviation Council, the pilot shortage is expected to get worse. Shelley Joyce, CBC News, Kamloops. Taking your plane for a walk. Okay.